Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Beyond the Sale. On this episode, we will be talking with Lydia, who is an excellent client result specialist, fulfillment queen, amazing operations manager, and just all around an amazing human. And for this episode, if you are a high performer, or maybe you are just constantly wanting to grow in life, looking for ways to improve, we will be talking about all of that. So, first question for Lydia is just who are you? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, 100%. So my name is Lydia, and really like my biggest why is helping people discover skill sets that's going to allow them to escape what I call the cubicle prison. So really that's a big part of my why. That's really why I'm on the leadership team with Creators Training, and we do just that of, teaching people the skill sets to where they can control their time, their income, where they live, so they can be perched on the top of the mountain if they really want to be. So I have a lot of experience in like operational, just keeping everything together, a lean team, just operations and automations and all of those great things. And then also a little bit about me is I am 23 and I chose not to do the college route, and it's really, really paid off for me. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that as well, but that's a little bit about me.
Yay, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for introducing yourself.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on this podcast.
Yeah. I know both me and Emily, really admire your strengths and what you bring to the table. So I'd love to dive into the college talk first. I think that's a super interesting topic that is becoming more and more controversial the more the time seems to go on. So like I know that you didn't go to college. You took a really untraditional route. I know that I went to college, and I know Emily, you're just finishing up college, so we've got a lot of different perspectives here to serve. So first, Lydia, go ahead and tell us why you chose not to, what you did otherwise, and it seems like you're very happy with the choice, but I guess elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. It was scary at the time, though. I really wasn't sure if I was making the right choice, because I don't know about you guys, but by my parents, I was told, okay, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a good education. Like that's the path for you, basically. I feel like that's what our generation tell us. So
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to hear your guys' perspectives as well. I feel like we have a good spectrum of different areas in college, but really for me, it was in high school. All of my friends knew exactly what they wanted to do with their careers, and they knew exactly what college they wanted to go to. Like I remember specifically talking to one of my friends, and for the past year, she knew she wanted to go to dentistry school, whatever that's called. And she was so passionate about it. She was so like gung-ho, like, this is what I want to do. I know exactly what I'm doing. And each time I was having a conversation with her, I was like, I'm stressed. I don't know what I want to do. So I feel like that was with all of my friends. Like they knew what college they wanted to go to. So what I chose to do instead was like, okay, I'm actually going to build a killer resume and just build up skill sets that I know business owners are going to find valuable. And that's really the path I went down. So what I did is I found a business apprenticeship program where I was basically thrown into the deep end. So it was 6-month apprenticeships, just working at different companies. I gained like so much different experience, seeing how to be a leader and how not to be a leader by the people that I was led by, and just was really thrown in the deep end of learning those skills. And then while I was doing that, I was building up some freelancing as well. So really just like building a killer resume with actual hands-on experience of like, boom, these are the results I've already gotten for companies. This is what results I can get for you as well. So
100%.
I'm really happy. Oh, sorry, what?
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Yep, 100%. So I'm really happy I didn't do the college route, because I think I would have gone into marketing. And looking back at it now, I would have been like social media marketing or something like that. And I would have hated my life. So I'm so happy I didn't do that route. It's really paid off. Yep. So I'm interested to hear your guys' perspectives 100%.
Yeah. I'll let you go, Rocky, first, and then I'll say what I think as well.
First, I just want to put it in perspective for people. So I come from a heavy tech background. I've always been handy, and I was on the robotics team. I learned how to code and all these things, and I ended up getting a degree in computer science engineering, and had built up the skills to be in the cybersecurity field, and had gotten a very good job, security clearance, all kinds of stuff. I was all geared up and ready to bat, and thought I knew what I wanted, and I definitely couldn't be more wrong. And looking back now, if I were to come from the future and tell myself like 6 years ago that, hey, I know you're doing this right now, but you're actually gonna own a marketing agency and be a real estate investor, I think I would have been like, yeah, who the fuck are you? So I never ever predicted this for myself, ever. That just goes to show you that college and what you do in college doesn't, like what degree you get doesn't even dictate what happens to you. I was so set. Like Lydia, you're talking about your friends who knew what they wanted. I was like, I want to be an engineer. Like I knew that back in, high school. I was like, I'm going for engineering. And I was just trying to figure out which one. I was torn between computer science and like mechanical, and that was my only big tough. But yeah, then when I got into college, I was like, wait, okay, so I'm getting this degree, but like, what kind of job am I going to get? And that's where I really switched from mechanical to cybersecurity, because I couldn't see myself, like when I actually looked at the reality of what the jobs were you could get as a mechanical engineer. I was like, I don't think I want to do any of those. Those sound kind of bleak. So then I switched thinking this field would be cooler, and it ended up still being not, it just wasn't for me. The work environment, everything. So I think that just goes to show that, you know, it's all about the experience, I guess. And even that, sometimes I personally regret a little bit going, just because I feel like had I had those 4 years to start my business, I'd already be so much further along. But I know that happened for a reason. So, can't really, before regret, I just keep moving forward. But that's my opinion. You can even get a great degree and still be doing something completely different. So
yeah, I had a very similar experience with that. Where in high school, I was, president of environmental club. I was going to be an environmental science major and like go into that. And then I got there and I was like, wait, we're actually like doing science. And I was like, no, I'm not down for this. And so then I started learning about marketing, and that's when I switched my degree to marketing. I was like, okay, I'll just, as I spend my time here, and it's been like an ongoing choice of whether to leave or to stay. And it's been that way for so long. And now that I have one class left, I've just gonna stay. And that has caused me to not have as much time to my business. And I will say, like, same thing with you, Rocky. I didn't know that this was going to be my route. And I was like, if I knew that this opportunity was here, because I was trying so hard to find a business to get into. I was trying network marketing and that wasn't working. I had no clue if there was going to be an opportunity like this to have a path to go somewhere. And yeah, just a reflection as I was thinking about this today, because I knew we were going to talk about this. What I learned today is basically something that I can learn in like an Alex Hormozi's YouTube video, but I spend like a week on the topic and he spends like 10 minutes. And he like combines it together, and it's also more relevant and I can actually use concrete examples. Whereas in class, it's very like talking about definitions and things like that, and I don't see the actual value in it. Right now it's kind of like networking opportunity, having an experience. And also another funny thing to note was they were talking about salaries. They're like, okay, well, if you get a $60,000 salary, like, will you guys be happy? And everyone was like, yeah, that would be a good salary. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm in the right place.
I'm sure.
So yeah, that's like my opinion on it. And it leads into, how we have become, I think, high performers. And as a high performer, like, I think something that you value is just constantly growing, constantly achieving. And I just haven't been able to have that with the people around me.
It's just so cookie cutter, and it's just, I don't know, the way it's set up. I didn't even get into that, but I would say that I always was viewed as someone who was good at school. And really, the way I viewed myself was, I'm just working my ass off to try to keep up and get good grades. But I took me a lot of extra effort. I wasn't just naturally good at tests, never was, never will be, not my thing. Standardized tests, even worse. But at the same time, like you said, I can get a course or join a mentorship or training and absorb and apply. Like I can absorb information that's given to me in a nice way. That's just like, we're not just in a classroom. It's just like, hey, this is what you need to know. And this is what, do this, and that. I'm like, got it. And I can go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, I started to hate college just because of the structure and everything. I mean, engineering is brutal, and I just hated it. And I thought, I just hate school. I hate learning. I don't hate learning. I realized I just hated school learning. I
Yeah.
love learning. I love learning every day, but I just did not like the way the classroom facilitates that. So I think that's a very also important thing that goes into like high performers. I think a lot of them that are at least in this category that we're going to be talking about, who like aren't, maybe academia, like academics sort of minded people, they also value being taught and learning in a different way than the traditional classroom offers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, 100%. I definitely see that as well. Like I knew when I was taking my last SAT that I wasn't going towards the college route, and I was like, I hate this. This is probably hopefully going to be the last test like this I'm ever going to have to take, because like I just love learning hands-on learning. That's really how I learn best. Is just give me the problem, let me actually dive into it, and then I can fix it without doing a whole test like this is how you should do it and like learning all these things, but just like actually being a problem solver, which as a business owner, that's what you're doing all day, is finding those problems and solving them. So that's really what I was taught in my apprenticeship program. And I don't feel like that's what's taught a lot in college. It's very much, okay, like this is what you're going to memorize. This is what we're going to tell you. But like, you don't know how to actually solve it. That's just maybe what I've seen though.
Yeah, no, that is exactly it. And in the marketing route, it's like very much on, okay, here are like the main concepts that you need to know your 4 Ps and how can you apply them to this business and how can you innovate this business. But then it's like, I want a real example to dive into, a real problem to solve.
Can be for some people. So I mean, especially if you're wanting to be a nurse, please go to college, please. But it
Yeah.
can be great for some people. There is benefits to college, but it's not all what it's sold out to be. It's not necessarily just the education piece. It's more of what you see, like the networking, or some people just need that place to grow into basically. And it's like a lot of people, their first time moving out for the first time, and it's giving people that environment to kind of be almost like that buffer of, okay, like this is what I'm wanting to maybe do with my career, and having that exploration time basically.
Yeah, I think if you do want to go to college or you're thinking about it, really don't don't do it because you're pressured to or you feel like you need to. And even if you are like, I'm gonna go, definitely be really purposeful and think about what you're trying to get out of it and make that your experience. Because I think a lot of people are just going, picking something random and just kind of floating around is a lot of what I see. And I think if you're there, you at least need to try to be a little pointed about what are my goals that I want to get out of this experience? Like, what do I want to take from this? Who do I want to meet? What kind of connections do I want to make? And what do I want to get out of it and learn? I think is, to try to be more purposeful, because a lot of us just kind of go because we're told to and just kind of start classes, and some people just pick some major, and I don't think that's productive.
Yeah.
Just to not trying to be like you have to be productive all the time, but like that becomes your life, and it can be fun and everything, but make it something that's going to help you be better.
Yeah, I know that you didn't end up going to college and you have still been able to advance really well into your career. So, what are the key habits or kind of routines that you credit for your success?
Yeah, 100%. So a couple of things in that is, one, I'm a 3, but this comes easy to me, but stay laser focused on what you're wanting to accomplish. Like know exactly where you're wanting to go. And even just to break this down even a little bit more, I would have pillars of exactly like pillars of life and what you want to accomplish in each of those pillars. And that's really going to help you to have that clarity. But as far as like advancing in your career, so number one, you have to know exactly what you're wanting to accomplish, but mentorship and networking, that is so key. I think I saw a lot of people when I was, 19, 20, 21, who didn't see or were maybe just scared of networking and didn't really capitalize on networking, but that is really powerful, like those connections that you make. So put yourself out there. I know like you can feel like the most awkward person in the room when you're networking and at networking events or doing on Zooms, but everyone feels that way. Just know that you're not the only one. So definitely build your network up. That's going to be super powerful. But then also you have to get mentorships and people who are going to speak into, like the results that you've been able to get. So something that really helped me at the career that I have now. So about a year ago, I was like, okay, I really want to focus on being on a leadership team where I can help people build these skill sets of escaping the cubicle prison, basically. And there were some key things that I was looking for, but I knew going into it, I was going to have so much less experience. I'm 23 years old. I was going to have so much less experience than the other people applying for the same position as me. So really what I did is I really capitalized on references, just got killer references. And Julian can tell you right now that the number one reason I even got an interview was because of the references on my LinkedIn. Like they really showcased what I was good at and that I can be someone who is trusted and is going to be a great asset to the team. So build up your LinkedIn or whatever profiles and portfolios to showcase, like that you're trustworthy, that you're going to be a high performer. So those are some key things that I would say there. There's probably some more things I can say, but that's really like the main things I would say.
Yeah.
I actually those are really great points, Lydia. And one thing I did want to really emphasize on something that you said is networking. Even now, out of college and everything, I'm still networking. I do a lot of online networking. I do some in person as well, but through some of those like people I've met, you just never know who you're going to meet. And some of those people have turned into like great opportunities that I know are going to serve me now and really into the future as I, keep catering like that, like kind of like partnership and these business relationships I'm making. It's so key, especially if you're in any business, even if you're, someone with a W-2 job, like networking can get you your next greatest opportunity. So it's really, really, really important. And I know I get to ask this question all the time, really all the time after I tell people what I do. And they maybe see how much I work. They're like, how do you stay motivated? And like, how do you just keep doing this and maintain your drive for such a long period of time? Like, how do you do that? And I love to ask you that same question because and Emily, like I know all of us do that, but what is everyone else's individual answer? So
Yeah.
Yep. I'll go back to what I said before, but knowing exactly what you want to accomplish, like what your why is, and let that pull you. So when you're just working really hard and you maybe know you're going to go in the right direction, you're figuring it out, but you don't necessarily know why you're doing it, it's going to make those times when you're up until 1 a.m. working on something super, super hard because you're like, what am I doing this for? And you don't know. So you have to have a laser focused why and keep that in front of you. I always like to say this as well is when you make your goals, don't just set them and then set them to the side. I see that a lot of people do that. They have this burst of inspiration of like, oh, I'm going to accomplish all these things. And then they set it to the side. And it's like, no, that's a living, breathing document. You're going to be viewing that every day. You're going to be revising it not revising it, but looking at it every day and seeing, okay, like, how am I getting closer to that goal? Like, what am I doing? And something that's really, really key for that is, I think we've all read Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? I think so. I think Emily, you have, maybe not. Okay, so my favorite book is Atomic Habits. And this is really about, okay, like let's break down our goal into a systemized routine and process. So we know, okay, like every day, this is the process that we're going to follow. Like it's basically the same in sales. Anyone who's done sales before, the key numbers that you need to meet to be able to get to your goal. It's the same in that of every area of your life. Okay, like these are the key KPIs, if you will, that I'm going to commit to consistently every single day. And I know if I'm on this path, this is where it's going to take me basically. So like reverse engineering your goals basically. And then as well as just like maintaining your energy as well. So know what gives you energy. I've challenged someone recently of, okay, like make a list of things that bring you energy throughout your day that you want to add more into, and what are some things that are really draining to your energy. Because as a high performer, you are wanting to accomplish all these great things, but you only have 24 hours in a day. So you have to get laser focused and so good at managing your energy really well so that you can actually show up for what you're wanting to show up for and work for and do it at your best. So that's some things that I would say about that.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like that's amazing that you have such like great tools to come back to, and it feels like you know exactly where you're wanting to go. You know exactly what pushes you forward, and getting really clear on that is super important. I remember when I started my first ever business, that was like the main thing that we ever did is just get super clear. And it was like I was getting really clear on where I wanted to go, but I didn't know the action steps to get there. And then when I finally realized that I wanted to do marketing, it was like, okay, I'm super clear. And now the action is super clear. And now I can just keep moving forward. And I know that I'm making progress. Whereas if I didn't have that super clear, defined why of what I'm wanting to do, then I would be like, yeah, up at 1 a.m. Like, why am I doing this? I'm actually not seeing any fruits for my labor. So I guess I'm just going to give up. So yeah, Rocky, did you want to say anything to that as well?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say this directly replies like this last week when we were just trying to pound out that VSL. I was up one of the nights till like 3:30 a.m. like getting the prepping the member. Yeah, because you're like, you did all of it, and I was like, well, yeah, I thought that's what I thought you assumed I was just gonna do the whole thing, and you're like, damn, Rocky, and you know, and when I was staying up way later and working, and as I continue to work, I get busier and busier. And even that night or whatever, I didn't really turn around asking myself a whole lot, why the heck am I doing this? It was more so I was like, okay, just got to get it done. And then, there are some points where I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, no, but this is for this. Like, so I have to get it done. I just want to get this done because then I'm going to be able to do this. Then we're going to be able to do this. So it was always like, I just wanted to get it done as fast as possible because I was like kind of tired of like doing it. But like at the same time, like there was such a motivation behind like, I want to get this done so I can keep, doing my more daily tasks. I have more time for those. And so that we can finally launch this thing. I'm just like, really want to launch it. I'm so like, because at that point I was just like, it needs to be done. Like it should have been done 2 weeks ago, kind of like motivation. But that's kind of, it's the same thing where everyone's talking about staying up really late. I did stay up really this past week, and I can tell you that only came out of just being like I, knew the next goal, the next path, and what that was going to do for us. So.
Yeah, I love that reflection. I remember staying up really late working on another client's VSL as well, like the slides for it. And I was listening to like Elon Musk's book, and it was just like it kept me going because I heard his drive, and I was like, oh well, okay, he's working like 24 hours a day. I guess that I can stay up an extra few hours to finish this. So I was like setting my baseline, which I don't know if it's like the most healthiest thing, but especially on those nights where you just have to finish something by a deadline, it's like it really helped me. So do you guys experience a lot of stress in your day, and how do you handle the stress? And like, do you have would you say a healthy work-life balance, or what are your beliefs on that?
I would say I have a really nice, healthy work balance because one of the things I was looking for in the key company of the leadership team that I wanted to be a part of is someone who lives more by the 4-hour work week. So I've worked in companies before where they're like, okay, like you're going to put in these 8 hours and that's going to be like the value basically is you putting in 8 hours. But I like working for companies. It's like, okay, like you could be working 4 hours, you could be working 12 hours. The results is what matters, not how many hours you're putting in. But the reason that I was saying that is because I used to be someone who, I'm a 3, I'll reference that again, I could be very stressed out and just snowball in my brain to be like, oh my gosh, this isn't happening quick enough. Or like, oh my gosh, like I need to be here. And I forget sometimes it's just dwell in contentment of what I have accomplished. Like as a 3, I'm always looking towards the next goal. But something that I've really, really implemented in my life is, okay, like I'm going to appreciate the moment that I'm in. Like I've worked really, really hard to get to this point. Let's not throw away, like all the work that I've done for this and the appreciation for that, but let's live in contentment for that moment.
Yeah.
And what I've been able to do is I've read this book called The Untethered Soul, and it basically talks about not letting your brain snowball and how sometimes like energy in a way gets stopped up in your brain basically if you don't let something go almost, and like it keeps coming back up. It's like forgiveness almost too. It just keeps coming back up and coming back up. So it's something that, like just like managing that stress basically and being able to actually move on and like being, okay, this really isn't that big of a deal. Let's actually put this in context. Is the world really falling apart? No, it's not. Okay, let's move on.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that.
Also, for anyone watching who's like, what is a 3? The Enneagram test, 3 is a high achiever.
Yep.
So
yeah,
Lydia and I are both high achievers. Rocky, have you taken that test before?
Yeah, this is so funny they're bringing this up because I just took it like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Because my therapist is like, you should take this personality test.
Yes, sir. I want to know.
I'm a 5. I think it's the thinker or something. I can't remember what the title is.
I'm so glad you're not a 3. Oof.
Yeah, but it made a lot of sense for me. It really called me out. Basically, I'm like always in my head. So like even when we're talking about work-life balance, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, like one thing I do really bad at is constantly beating myself up because I'm not where I think I should be. I think, even Emily the other day, you're like, let's just take a moment to appreciate like how far we've come. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. Okay, whatever. Now back to it. So I don't, take a lot of time. I'm just like, I'm not where I want to be yet. So I'm just going to keep going. And I think when it comes to healthy work-life balance for me, I've been in entrepreneurship, I've been like on completely opposite ends of the spectrum of like chilling out and doing like pretty much nothing, and doing like work 24/7. And what I can say is, as stressful as it may be at times to be working and just constantly trying to do more and more things, I find myself like overall like happier, if that makes any sense to anyone. When I'm still, I get depressed and I get sad, and when I'm moving and constantly moving forward, because when I sit around and I know I could be working and I know what I could be doing and what I could be accomplishing, it makes me more sad than just actually going ahead and having to do the work. So I think for me, a healthy work-life balance is something I'm working towards as far as like the long-term vision. Of course, I don't always want to be working this much, but right now, like that's exactly what I want to be doing. And I'm working towards a life where, yeah, I don't have to be chained, or I'm not chained to my destiny. I could stop right now, but like, I have bigger goals. So I think I'm just waiting. I'm not in a 4-hour work week at all, but I don't want to be, I guess, is the whole jig for me right now. At least I love working, and that's actually part of
Yeah.
my horoscope and my number. It's like I like work and I like thinking. I'll even be trying to relax downstairs, with my partner, or maybe we're watching a show or something, and I'm thinking about work. I'm like thinking
Really?
about,
You
yeah,
too?
like,
I do
yes,
that too. And my partner's
yeah.
like, I like stare off into the distance, and he's like, "Are you thinking about work?" I'm like, "Yeah."
No, because like and it's always like the newest problem that I would have. The recently it's been like, okay, so how do I like position this offer? This like, oh, what's the best way? Like, how am I gonna? And I'm just constantly like just problem solving unconsciously. I'm at the gym. I'm thinking about work. How can I make this better? What can I do here? Like, I wonder how I can do that. Like, I'm just constantly. I can't turn it off, and I do live in my head. I do.
And I talk about this all the time of how people are always striving towards this balanced life, basically. But if you are an entrepreneur and you are trying to accomplish something big and scary, like you have to throw away this concept that you're going to have this balanced life all the time. Like it's totally okay to be a workaholic. Like, I'm sorry, people are going to hate me for that. But like, if you love what you're doing, there's going to be seasons where you're going to have to be working really hard, and like if you're not someone who's inclined to that, you can tell yourself, okay, like this is just a season, this isn't going to be a constant. I'm working really hard so I can set the foundation. So Julie and I talk about that all the time, of how people are always striving towards this balanced life, but it's like, how is that fulfilling? Because I always like to say this too, and when people say that they're busy, it's like, okay, everybody is busy, but what are you
Yeah.
actually busy with? Because you could be busy with something that's not even productive towards where you're trying to go, and it's not serving you anymore, but it's taking up your time. So you feel like you're really busyness basically, but not actually, like accomplishing what you're wanting to accomplish. And what I've just learned is I love the work of building a business and the work of finding those problems. Like I'm really passionate about what I do, and it doesn't feel like work to me, and it's something that actually fills me up. Like I know when I have been burnt out before in a previous career that I was pursuing. I just didn't enjoy it. And you have to know when you're reaching that point, and that's when you can, like really nurture, okay, like let's slow down, let's take a step back, let's reflect. But this whole thing of like work-life balance, like being the ideal thing, is not like just sitting on the beach all the time. It's like really just finding those things that are bringing you energy. So yep.
Exactly. And like once you reach that point where you eventually like are done working, or you've gone through that season of working a lot, I still feel like I would want to be working. Like I don't think there is a time in my life where I'm gonna be like, all right, done working for the rest of my life. I'm so excited. No, I feel like I would want to have little breaks here and there, like take sabbaticals and then come back to it, because I think it is rewarding if you love what you do. And so Lydia, I know that you have a lot of knowledge in automations, keeping a lean team. So tell us, our audience are mainly like online business owners, entrepreneurs. So maybe some things that you could let them know that would bring value.
Yeah. So we talk about this all the time at creators training, of not adding bloat to our team, basically, of really just keeping a team of high performers. So I've been on teams in the past where I am the high performer and I feel like I'm the one dragging people. But the teams that I work best on is a team like you guys, where we're all really high performers and we're all pushing each other to the next level and being the best version of ourselves in our careers, our lives, all those great things. So really like that's the teams that I work best on. And it's really, really important in that. So something that I just found interesting, I was listening to this podcast and Julie and I were talking about it as well. But do you guys know Calendly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you guys use Calendly. I think I use Calendly for this. So how many people do you think they have on their team?
Ooh. It's either going to be like
In the
a
thousands.
surprising number of not a lot or a typical number of like a lot of people. But I'm
Yeah.
going to say, because we're talking about this, I'm going to guess it's like 15. I don't
Yep.
know.
No.
Really?
No.
15?
Yep. Yep. So
Wow. Look at me.
yep, there you go. So like that's the thing is like when you have a team of high performers who like all of us on the creators training team, we know sales and psychology and influence. Like I'm on the customer success team, and the person that like is really in the customer relations, they know a lot about sales. Like when I'm looking to hire people in our customer success team, I'm looking for people who know about sales, persuasion, influence. So anyways, like all of us know about our motivators and what motivates each other. So we know like we can stay a high performing team that's really, really working well together and staying lean, and like we're all not too big or little for any task. We're gonna just do what's gonna work and move the business forward and not have our egos fully out there. Like we're just gonna have our egos in check. Like nothing's too big or small. We all know what we're trying to accomplish and we're all running after that. So that's what I really love about working on the creators training team, is just you really have to work with high performers if you're wanting to enjoy your life, if you're also a high performer. So
it's a great environment to be on, be in. And also I think that working together is amazing as well. I feel like most people don't get to see these kind of interviews where, we have a community so tight knit that I can call on like any of our coaches or anyone in to come on our podcast, and they're down to do it. And it just like makes me realize that everyone here is super, they want to see people succeed, right? And it's better to do things together than to do things alone, I think. And you can move faster if you do things together. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, Emily and I talk every day, and mostly it's just like, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, I did this. Hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, this, it's constant back and forth of like both of us trying to strive for like the next thing and keep each other accountable. So I think that's been super helpful.
The output of me working on my own versus us working together has obviously like 2x.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I think probably the same, because even like one of the reasons I was like trying to get to get to know you better is because I saw you as like, wow, like Emily's over here, like I want to be there, like I need to get to know Emily. And I like you because you constantly push me, because you'll be like, yeah, I did this, and I'm like, crap, all right, I need to be doing that too. And so it's like really good, and I think we do like push each other in different ways, which is just really great. We've talked about this before, like we even talked about this today, like we just have such opposite strengths and weaknesses, which really works to our favor. Today we even discovered like, yeah, oh my gosh, I was so stressed about part. You want to do that part? Great. I didn't want to do that part at all. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine. So it's just like just a perfect mesh. But I think something that has really become more clear and clear to me, that I listen to all these people and like talking about constantly, was oh, I only surround myself or talk to people that I feel like also want to talk about business and or like share these values and stuff. And I was like, well, that's a little intense, bro. But like the other day, I was the first time I realized like I'm starting to kind of get like that. I don't know how much I want to be around people that don't share that like belief or have those same visions. Like at this point, I kind of just want to be around high performers, which sounds, I don't know how that sounds, but
like anyone who's an expert in their field, I would want to learn from them. Even if I'm like 5 years down the line, if I've surpassed them, then I still would want to learn from them and hear what they have to say. And if you're watching this and maybe you're like a lone wolf, I would say go and network and find other people that you can link up to do certain tasks with, because honestly, it's made the pressure and like this constant motivation inside of me is just continuing to grow, because I have someone by me who's like super down to do it with me too. It's great. I recommend it. like just having those people around you, find someone who has an opposite strength and weakness. Obviously, those things will come through time. But if you notice, oh, we have like the same strengths and weaknesses, maybe I should go find someone else for this, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, yeah, like I was struggling definitely with like just maintaining focus and maintaining like just a sense of direction. And I think, yeah, like my productivity and what I've been able to push for has also just like massively increased just by like, because we keep each other accountable like every single day.
I know.
So
We're like,
it's,
you're taking this day off? Seriously? No.
yeah.
That's not
Yeah. Or like, hey, I already started this, let me know when you can get to it. I'm like, fuck, all right. So it's just it's good. It's good.
Yes.
So
Amazing.
yeah.
Awesome.
It's
Sweet.
realization though of, I think we've all had to come to this realization at least in some point in our life. Like if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of people still like I think it's changing now massively. But I think a lot of people don't want to go down that path basically. So, like you always I feel like every entrepreneur has to go down this at least a season of okay, like we're outgrowing these people and that's totally fine. It doesn't make them a bad person, it doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes for going down a different path and that's okay. And I really like that you guys are holding each other accountable because that is the number one thing that not the number one thing, but there's a book that they research the top 5 factors of like high performers and CEOs and all of those great things, and one of those is accountability. And I love that you guys are holding each other accountable. Like you really are the 5 people that you surround yourself with, as cliche as it sounds. I've found that in my own life and seen that in other people's lives as well. So I love that you guys have this partnership going on.
Yeah, my mom has been saying that to me since I was young as I can remember, but she's 100% right, and almost everything my mom has told me, I'm like, uh-huh, and then I'm like, man, she was right. Hate it, but yeah,
Yep.
she's
So what I wanted to say about the lean team. Okay. So also something that I would really recommend for keeping like a lean, really productive team is automations are your best friend. So if you don't know how to use automations, well, I mean, Emily and Jasmine, you can hire them because they're killer at it. But automations can really save you, like 1 to 3 teammates, depending on exactly what you're working on, basically. So automations are going to be killer in your business. Learn how to use Zapier, learn how to use all of these tools so that you can really capitalize on your time and get your time back and get your team members' time back as well. So that's something I would really recommend.
Yes, I love that. I feel like just last week I implemented some automations for a client and he was like, wow, this is going to save me and my team so much time. I no longer have to be hopping on calls with like unqualified leads. So it is such a blessing to have Zapier and all of the automation tools. So, Lydia, thank you so much for all of your value and your input that you put onto this podcast. Really quickly, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Oh man. All right, sorry. Favorite app or tool that you use every single day?
The Done app. It's a habit tracker.
Okay. Morning must-haves.
Coffee and a shower. I cannot start my day. That's maybe like a weird one, but I cannot start my day without a shower. I feel like
it's the Pisces.
Have a good day. What was that?
It's the Pisces.
Yep. There you go.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you got some value out of it and it helps you on your entrepreneurial journey. And make sure to subscribe.
Thank you so much, you guys.